Hello, and welcome to the IAF's webinar on Agriculture Water Infrastructure Program, Stream 3, Assessments, Engineering, Studies, or Plans. My name is Alana Wilson, and I'm a Program Manager with IAF. Before we begin the presentation, I'd like to acknowledge that the IAF's office is in Victoria, the traditional territory of the Algonquin First Nations, represented today by the Esquimalt and Songhees Nations. And the IAF operates across traditional and unceded Indigenous territories throughout British Columbia. Today, I am presenting from the unceded and traditional territory of the Sishat and Huipachesset First Nations. AWP is funded by the Government of British Columbia through the Ministry of Agriculture and Food and is delivered by IAF. I'm joined today by Stephanie Tam, representing the Ministry of Agriculture and Food, who will be assisting me during the question and answer period of the webinar today. So welcome, Stephanie, and would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Alana. I'm the water management engineer with the BC Ministry of Agriculture and Food. My office is located in the Abbotsford region. Back to you, Alana.
Thanks, Stephanie. So a brief agenda. Today's presentation will cover an overview of the program, a more detailed overview of Stream 3, and how to apply to Stream 3. The presentation will be followed by a question and answer. The Agriculture Water Infrastructure Program aims to increase adoption of efficient irrigation infrastructure and improve agricultural water supply and management in BC. The program's goal is to improve water security in agricultural areas and food security in BC. The AWP aims to maximize available agricultural water, increase agricultural production, and protect agricultural land from flooding. Funding for AWP is available through 4 funding streams, each with their own unique funding limits, eligibility requirements, and other details. Further details about Stream 1 is now available on IAF's website. More information on Streams 2 and 4 is coming soon. Today, we'll be covering the details of Stream 3, Assessments, Engineering, Studies, or Plans. So let's get into Stream 3. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I want to encourage you to check out the AWP Stream 3 webpage for full stream details, especially as we get into the activity slides. I'll be overviewing things in much less detail than there is online. For the most complete source of information, please review the webpage. So Stream 3. Stream 3 will fund the assessments, engineering studies, and plans that are required before completing infrastructure work. These studies help you understand the limitations of water availability in your watershed or help you determine the most appropriate type and scale of water infrastructure needed. If you intend to apply for water infrastructure funding through another AWP stream, you will need to have the necessary plans and designs completed prior to applying. Each stream has their own unique funding limits for eligibility requirements and other details. For Stream 3, the minimum funding is $20,000. This means your project's eligible costs must be a minimum of $40,000, as the cost share ratio is 50%. If you're a producer looking for funding to support water planning, design, and assessments below this minimum, please apply to the BMP program. The maximum funding is $200,000, meaning that if your project costs exceeds $400,000, you will only be reimbursed to a maximum of $200,000. To be considered eligible for Stream 3, applicants must be BC-based and must be one of the organization types on this list. Please note that producers who use water for a mix of agricultural and non-agricultural uses are eligible. Community water supply groups, including Indigenous groups that provide a combination of irrigation, drainage, or diking services to a mix of agricultural and non-agricultural water users are eligible, and public corporate bodies that are legally allowed to acquire, hold, or control property and licenses and conduct work are also eligible. Ineligible participants include non-agricultural entities, including aquaculture and seafood provincial or federal governments, and crown corporations. Within Stream 3, there are 7 eligible activities, which we will cover one at a time. Starting with Activity 1, which provides cost-shared funding towards water supply assessments or feasibility studies in key agricultural areas to determine available water supply. These assessments and studies identify streams or aquifers that are not fully subscribed and assess how much additional water is available. This may allow for an increase in water supply for agriculture. They identify potential water storage sources that could help alleviate future climate change-induced drought, or provide assessments such as environmental flow needs assessments, hydrogeological assessments, or other assessments which may be required for water license applications, whether surface water or groundwater, under the Water Sustainability Act. Water supply assessments or feasibility studies address current water supply risk in a region with significant water supply problems that directly affect the viability of current agricultural operations and where it's difficult to develop reliable water sources. Explore opportunities to provide additional water for agricultural expansion or formulate long-term water supply solutions for existing and future agricultural operations within the service area of the water supply system. Assessments and studies funded under Stream 1 must meet several eligibility requirements. A list with reduced detail is shown here. In general, these assessments should provide long-term solutions to the anticipated water supply risks, an analysis of water resource data to inform potential infrastructure projects, a drawing of the area with important locations such as water supply noted, a cost-benefit analysis showing available options, a stakeholder consultation, and a detailed implementation plan. So moving on to Activity 2 now. Activity 2 funds engineering studies or plans for water purveyors to assess and determine opportunities for upgrades and expansion of existing purveyed water systems. Engineering studies or plans are often required before any efficiency upgrades or expansion can occur. Many storage systems do not have accurate estimates of how much water is being stored, how much is being used, and when it's being used by different users. Studies or plans completed under this activity should include an analysis of water supply sources, agricultural water demands, and water infrastructure needs, a drawing with the location of the proposed upgrade or expansion, benefited area, and technical and construction aspects marked, demonstration of available options with the best possible or most cost-effective long-term solution identified, consultation with key stakeholders, a detailed plan that includes technical, regulatory, environmental, financial, construction, and project management requirements that would be necessary to execute the project. Activity 3 provides cost-shared funding towards dam engineering assessments, including redetermination of consequence classification. Classification must follow the province's estimating dam break downstream inundation and downstream consequence of failure classification interpretation guidelines. And both of these are hyperlinks with links to further information. Assessments must follow the requirements described in the plan, submission requirements for the construction and rehabilitation of small dams, the Canadian Dam Association guidelines and technical bulletins, or other industry recognized guidance. Activity 4 provides funding towards completing dam emergency plans. The instructions for preparing a dam emergency plan in BC are available on the Government of BC's website. Links to the plan are available on the AWP Stream 3 webpage. Activity 5 provides cost-shared funding towards dam safety reviews. Agricultural dam owners will select a qualified professional to conduct the required dam safety review for their dams. There's a request for proposal template available on the webpage that can be used, and qualified professionals must complete the review in accordance with the program requirements. Activity 6 provides cost-shared funding towards other professional consultative services as required under the dam safety regulation. This could include eligible activities such as hydraulic, hydrological, seismic, geological, or geotechnical analyses, invasive investigations, or the development of an operations, maintenance, and surveillance manual. And finally, Activity 7 provides cost-shared funding towards drainage master plans, dike engineering studies or design plans, or other professional consultative services to assess and determine opportunities for upgrades or expansion of existing drainage and diking infrastructure. Depending on your specific project, there are several guidelines that should be followed. They are provided on the Government of BC's website. Under this activity, you may be required to retain additional services as required under the Dike Maintenance Act or the Drainage, Ditch, and Dike Act. Drainage infrastructure projects should follow the agricultural drainage criteria. One note on eligibility for Activity 7. Diking districts are eligible to apply for diking infrastructure if the scope supports the understanding of flood hazards and the transfer of diking authority to a local government. The diking districts must demonstrate that the local government has been engaged as part of the project when applying. Plans or studies may include a pre-design study and summary of past studies or reports, field reconnaissance, geotechnical investigation, or topographical surveys, an analysis of existing infrastructure and improvement options or new construction. This could include things like system capacity design methodology, environmental, structural, or civil design issues, construction plans, and more. Consultation and approvals, project checklist and implementation plans, and a cost estimate. So that wraps up all of the activities under Stream 3. Now that you have an idea about what you can apply for, let's talk about how to apply. Applicants can apply to AWP through the IAF client portal. Links to the portal are provided throughout the IAF's website and listed on the slide here. To find the application, log into your account and select the Funding Opportunities tab from the gray sidebar. This is noted in yellow here. Once on this page, scroll down to find the application button for the Agriculture Water Infrastructure Program. Once you've drafted and saved an application, it will appear under the Applications Draft Application section of the portal, noted in blue here. Applications will be accepted on a first-come, first-served on a continual basis until funding is committed. Applications are currently available to draft, and applications can be submitted beginning June 20th. Projects can commence as soon as they receive an approval letter from IAF, and projects should be completed within 2 years of the project start date. All projects funded under the AWP must be complete by January 15th, 2032, and this shouldn't impact projects approved this funding cycle, as their end dates will be well in advance of this date. So thank you, everyone. That wraps up the presentation portion of this webinar, and we'll move on to the question and answer section. Okay, so it looks like we have the first question here. Do we need to have an environmental farm plan to be eligible? For the agricultural water program, you do not need to have an environmental farm plan to do the Stream 3 plans, assessments, and designs. Next question, can you please expand on the requirements for diking and drainage districts to engage local governments? Is this just for diking infrastructure or any projects proposed by the drainage districts? So Stephanie, I'm glad you came online here. I'd like to send this one over your way.
Absolutely. This is for diking infrastructure work only. And there is a policy document that we could probably add to the website just to clarify those information. And if you need more details, you can go to the link where you can read up on the policy details. And just to note that this clause is only for Activity 7 under Stream 3.
Okay. So the third question we've received, what does stakeholder consultation mean? Is there an expectation for applicants to consult with farmers?
Yeah, I believe it's under activity 1, water supply assessment or feasibility study. So it really depends on the proposed project. What kind of definition does the project have for stakeholder consultation? It could include farmers, it could include non-agriculture communities, and it's quite broad for that activity. So yeah, totally depend on what is being required for the proposed project.
Thanks, Stephanie. So the next question we have is, if we have an active IAF grant from another program, not in the water program, can we apply for this stream? The answer is yes. Yes, you're able to apply. The one caveat would be if you're doing water assessment or plans and design work through the BMP program for the same activities, no, we wouldn't be, we would be looking to make sure that, you know, this new application is complementary and does not duplicate your existing application. You cannot have 2 projects funding the exact same thing through 2 programs at the same time. But with that caveat in mind, you can have more than 1 program application to different programs or projects underway through IAF administered funding programs, so long as you're eligible to all of them. Okay, so this next question's regarding do we need stream 3 approval to then apply to the other streams? So I'm not going to go too far into the other streams 1 and 2, as today's webinar is really focused on stream 3. However, in order to apply for streams 1 and 2, you will need to have the prerequisite engineering studies or assessments done to support those applications. You do not have to have done them through this program or the previous water infrastructure program. The requirement is that you have those assessments or plans or engineering studies that are prerequisites. So if you don't have them, stream 3 is the place to begin getting that information and getting those materials that you will need to do further infrastructure work. Is there a list of approved and or recommended consultants, engineered and or qualified professionals? I'm probably going to get Stephanie to help me answer this one. For this program, there isn't a list on our website that we can refer you to of specific people. And part of the reason is who's a qualified professional will depend on the nature of the work that you're doing and who is able to do it within their own professional designation, skills, experience. There is in the program guide some additional details on and links to qualified professionals, but no, there is not a specific list. Stephanie, is there anything else you want to add there?
Absolutely. So if you go to the, let's say, BC Institute of Agrology's website, there will be a way for you to search through the website what kind of services that you're asking for, and then which area you're in, and they should be able to give you a list right on the website who might be able to help you out with. And same for professional engineers or geoscientists website. They are able to help you out with selecting the type of services that you're wanting to do and provide a list of names that of the people that might be able to help you out with. And just to note that it is the professional ethics and responsibilities of qualified professionals, where they are professional agrologists or professional engineers. They're there to make the judgment calls and to determine if their area of expertise or area of expertise is best suited to contribute to your project.
So the next question is, do we need a water license in place before applying to stream 3? Stream 3 is for engineering designs, assessments, and studies. You do not need a water license in place. Some of them, depending on your project, you may be doing work in order to obtain those water licenses. As you're not going to be doing any infrastructure work, there's no need to have a water license in place prior to applying for stream 3. So the next question is it possible to apply for activity 2 and 3 at the same time? You can have multiple activities selected within the same stream 3 application is the answer to that. So there's a question here where regarding the discussion revolving around dikes and whether small dams are included within dikes. Stephanie, would you like to answer that one?
Absolutely. So that would include regulated and unregulated dams. I don't think there is a differentiation of small, medium, large dams. So regulated and unregulated dams are eligible under Stream 3.
Okay, the next question is, can you define who is a water purveyor under activity 2? Would this be a local government or an irrigation district as an example? They're seeking greater clarity on the difference between activity 1 and 2.
So water purveyors could be local government, could be regional district, irrigation district, improvement district that provides water for you. So activity 1, that's eligible for individual producers as well as community members, so local government, irrigation district, and all. But however, activity 2 is engineering studies or plans for water purveyors only.
The next question is, when will information about streams 2 and 4 become available? So that information will become available soon. We will be updating our website as more information is released, and we recommend everybody sign up to the newsletter to get an email when there's more information regarding this program released. Okay, the next question, are dugouts and ponds eligible for this funding, or is it only meant for dams that are actually in water courses?
I can help answer that question. So let's see, activity 3, 4, 5, and 6, those are for dams only. And you could look into the dam safety regulation and make sure that the dugout is truly a dugout. Perhaps it should be classified as dams. So got to look into those details of your dugout to determine if it is truly a dugout or is it really considered as a dam under the regulation.
Do we need proof of land ownership? In terms of to be able to conduct a study or survey or engineered designs, we probably would want to see at least proof of access to the land, whether through a lease arrangement or other, legal documentation. And this is with regards to Stream 3 only. And just noting, there's a wide eligibility of applicant groups for Stream 3. So this could also depend on what the scope and scale of the survey or plan that you're doing is. This might be one that's a bit better to reach out to us directly so we can provide some advice on your specific case, because obviously the answer will be very different if you're an individual producer looking to do work on your own land versus something at a higher scope or scale involving multiple land users and different ownership. Oh, we've got another question here. Will First Nations require consultation distinct from other stakeholder organizations? It depends on the nature of your project and what kind of engineering study or assessment you're doing, who's potentially impacted. And for Stream 3, this could be part of the assessment work depending to determine the impacted groups. Whereas this would likely be a bigger requirement when we're looking at the other streams of the program. But for Stream 3, the answer would likely depend. So the next question is, do assessments and plans need to be completed through this funding program to access the capital streams? Or is it okay if we've conducted those on our own? And the answer to this is, those are prerequisites for the other streams. We'll be releasing information shortly on those streams to identify what those prerequisites are, but no, you do not have to have done them through the agriculture water program or any programs previously administered by IAF or other funders. The main thing is that you have those prerequisites and meet all the prerequisites to apply for the project. So that's fantastic if you've already done them on your own. And as long as they meet the prerequisite requirements and you're an eligible applicant, you're good to go. Okay, another question here. If my project includes raising a dam and a diversion ditch, it crosses 2 activities, how would I apply for that? So within the application form, you will be able to select one or more activities from the eligible activities under Stream 3. So in terms of how to actually apply for that, within the same application, you'll be able to provide activities and details of what you're doing under multiple eligible activities through Stream 3. Next question is, if a project is focused on identifying potential water storage sources or infrastructure improvements that could help alleviate future water supply concerns, does safeguarding the overall water supply fit into the intent of AWP Stream 3? Yes, that could be eligible so long as the water supply concerns are for agriculture purposes. The focus of this program is agricultural water use, not domestic or other non-agricultural purposes. So you would need to have a focus or tie into that agricultural water use to be eligible here. However, individual producers and Indigenous producers who use water for a mix of agricultural and non-agricultural uses are eligible, but there needs to be that clear link to agriculture water use. Okay, the next question is, how many years are the studies valid for? In regards to how long after they're done do we have to actually build those infrastructure or a dam or whatever the case may be? Stephanie, do you want to weigh in on the length of time that these studies would be considered valid for?
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends again on if there are any significant or small changes to the proposed project that you want to go ahead with the construction. It's hard for us as a program delivery side of things to determine if it should have a limited time frame for your study to get completed and to be implemented. So it really depends on the proposed project, if there are any changes to that since the last assessment or studies were done.
Okay, so this next question is, are applicants required to have a water license? And if making a joint application, do all entities have to have a water license to be eligible to apply? So again, for Stream 3, you normally would not need a water license because this application, this intake we're talking about is for engineering designs, assessments, water supply assessments. So water licenses would not be required to apply to this. I'm guessing that this is probably more related though to the infrastructure streams of the program, streams 1 or 2. And with that, you will not need to have the water licenses in place for all people to apply to the program. However, if your project is eligible and is offered funding, we would not be able to actually issue a contract or permit you to start that project until all necessary permits are in place, including water licenses. What is the difference between a dam and a dike? Stephanie.
A dam holds the water and a dike holds the water away from the land that you want to protect.
Will producers be able to qualify based on need for an advance payment reimbursement given the duration of some projects? For Stream 3, it will be payment in arrears. However, depending on need, with advance permission, we could likely provide an interim payment. So instead of all like 100% of your cost share being paid in a single payment at the end of the project, we would likely have some flexibility to do one or more payments based on, you know, costs already paid. So that would be something that we can discuss with you regarding your specific circumstance at the approval. But you would need to pay those costs up front. It would just allow us to reimburse you for those eligible costs sooner. And just noting that, you know, you would be required to include one or more progress reports, you know, if we were doing more than one payment, and all projects will need to provide a final report at the end of the project. Okay, this question is regarding Stream 3 Activity 5. Are we able to apply for more than one dam safety review in one application for 2 different dams? Stephanie, do you want to weigh in on this one?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I think as long as the total funding request does not exceed the maximum for the stream. just like within Stream 3, you are able to apply for multiple activities.
Okay, we have another question here. How is the funding provided to successful applicants? Is a portion of the funding provided upfront or only provided once a milestone report or invoice backup is submitted? So in general, for shorter projects, we would provide a single final payment at the end of the project, arrears based. So you'd be approved and provide a letter of offer upfront and would carry out the project. We would reimburse you for eligible expenses at the end of the project in a single payment. However, as we discussed, if it's a longer project, more funding involved, we could look at doing an interim payment. And yes, all expenses, you would need to have a, invoice or other proof of payment to be eligible, and they need to be eligible costs within the program to be reimbursed. Okay, the next question. Does consultation for possible irrigation installation fall under Stream 3? So this sounds like a question regarding on-farm irrigation activities. Stephanie, do you want to weigh in on this one? Because I would say nope.
No, so it is in the program guide that irrigation systems on farm are not eligible under AWP program.
If you are a producer who is looking to do on-farm irrigation, we would recommend you look at the BMP program. So this question is, are regional studies cost shareable amongst eligible applicants? So in this case, one of the applicants would need to apply to do the study, would need to be, a legal entity who is an eligible applicant to the program and would represent. But in terms of a regional study, I don't believe there'd be any issue with it being there. But if the question is, can there be several smaller linked projects? No, we'd be looking for, one applicant to apply on behalf of that regional group. And we have one more question that's just snuck in here. Can the activities under Stream 3 be undertaken on both Crown land and private land? Yes, unless Stephanie has any concern with the Crown land aspect that she'd like to give some further details on.
Yeah, Crown land, lease land only, and private land, yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining us today. Goodbye.